Hello and welcome to our tutorial. We're going to be looking at this piece of software here, or this plugin called Vuforia. It's an augmented reality plugin for Unity and also for other bits of hardware for this new Microsoft VR headset. So to get this, it's an expensive wee plugin. So as a development tool for us, it's completely free. If you want to buy it, one-time off license is $500. So, not cheap. For us, what you need to do, or what we'll be doing in class, is we'll be going to this website, so vuforia.com. We'll be clicking on this Get a License. You'll put in your email address and a new password, and you'll hit login. To whatever email address you put in here, you will receive an email in your inbox, and you click on that. It brings you to a link to verify that you are not a machine, and then you will be able to log in. Now, this is me logged in, so you have a log out and you'll have a login on the home page. So from here, you'd normally have log in, and you'll see this here. So you've got Unity, obviously. So this is what we're going to be. We're working with the Unity plugin. So the first thing we're going to go to is downloads. So our starting point for this is to go to this download page. There are samples here we can download if we want. If you are interested in developing this yourself, then this is definitely worth downloading and having a look at. I'm definitely interested in doing this myself, so I'll be going on to doing a bit more. And if we want to do more after Christmas on this, we can. But for now, we're just going to have a sort of an introduction to it. So we're not going to look at these too much. What we are interested in, so these are kind of APKs, so you can have fun. What we're interested in here is the SDK, and it's a download for Unity. Click on download for Unity, you agree to your license, and then once you hit agree, it downloads. This is my download here. I'll get to this one in a minute, but this is my Vuforia package. Now, in Unity, to load in a package, what you need to do is you go assets, import new asset, or it's not asset, sorry, import package, and then custom package, and then you would click on this and go open, and it's going to give you a pop-up window with all of the different components here. So if we have a very quick look, you'll see that there's a plugins folder, and I have a plugins folder here. And if I just close it up, you'll see that there's a Vuforia folder with all of these sub-elements to it, editors, scripts, materials, etc. We have the same over here. So then you'd hit import, and then they would appear here in your project window. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set up, so this is the scene I have here. I'm just going to set up a new scene. So I'm going to go new scene, save that one. And we'll just remove the default camera. And the first thing we're going to do is bring in this AR camera here. Now this has almost everything that we need. It has the camera in it, and then it has the image target. So before we get to the image target, we're going to look at the camera and the settings of the camera. And the first thing we're interested in is this guy here, this app license key. So what on earth is that? It's an unusual and bizarre list of numbers and letters. So let's go back to our the website here. So we've downloaded our package, and we've dropped our AR camera in. We're going to go to the develop window, and here it says license manager. Now, when you go to this page when you're here for the first time, you'll have nothing. So you can go add a license key. Now it's going to ask you what type of license key. Now these are, if you go to pricing, you'll see the three of these listed. So this is the €500 one, and there's no price given for this. So this is the one you want. This is the free one, development. give your app a name. You choose whether it's going to be VR or mobile. Now we're going to do mobile, and then you hit next. And after you do that, you'll basically end up with a database, or actually no, sorry, you'll end up with a license. Apologies. That'll look like this, which is where I got that strange collection of letters and numbers from. So you can see it's for a device, etc. So the way the licensing works in this is that you can use, like if you're using the app 1,000, I think it's 1,000 times a month you can use it. Once you go over that 1,000 times within a month, within a time frame of a month, I think it stops working, or at least it may return an error saying please buy, the commercial version of this license. So it says you're limited to 1,000 uses, and this key is how it does that. So you need to copy this and then go into your Unity editor and paste it into this window, and that is your unique key as connected to. Sorry, let's turn on my printer. That's your unique key connected to your app and to your account on the View4You website. Now, after you've put this in, we need to go back. We need to have a think about how this works. So we want to add in images that we can use in the real world, so stuff that we can print out and that it will recognize to place our 3D objects on top of. So in order to do that, we need to do that on the website as well. So we need to go to this target manager here. And again, when you do this for the first time, there'll be nothing in this database section. So you need to go add database, and you need to say, so what sort of database do you want? And it's for a device. So you'll go create, and you have to give it a name. So I called mine BIFE. It's for a device, you can see. Targets 2, we'll have a look at that now. So when I click on my database, I have 2 targets. Now you can have, I think you can have an unlimited number in here. How do you get them in here? You go add target, you select a single image, and you load your file. I just gave mine a width of 50. You can change the width later on in the Unity editor. Some of these are interesting though. We could print, for example, let's say you were trying to make a fantasy game and you had an orc or a goblin or a troll kind of character. You could actually take that 3D model, print it on the 3D printer we have in the college, and then use that as the object that View4You recognizes. And then instead of putting a character on a board, maybe you have the character and then the board appears. So that would be interesting. But for now, you're gonna have a single image selected. Click on Browse, load up the image you want, and then hit Add. Now, when you do that, it will take a little while, and it will rate your image. It also took a while for the database to become available to me. It took about 5 or 10 minutes before it sort of scanned the image. So, what do these ratings mean? Well, this image here is quite complex in terms of it's got lots of edges. And this image here is much simpler. The sort of image, if you look at sort of the samples they have here, they're looking for images like this. They're looking for highly complex images that have hundreds of tracking points. And if you've got hundreds of tracking points, it'll give you a high star rating saying this is an image that is easy to track, and if you have a less complex image, it will say this image is difficult to track. So this is a fairly basic image, and it's giving me 4 stars. So, I'm sure if you put in like a black square and a white background, it was rated badly. But a busy image, a complex image, will give you a higher rating. Now, when you've done that, you click Download Database. When you've got this window here, so you're going to pick Unity Editor and then Download. And when you do that, it will download the package. Now, mine's called, if I go back to my target manager, my database is called BIFE, so I've got BIFE package. So how do I get that in? Well, both of these packages come in the same way. Again, you go Import Package, Custom Package, and then I select this one. Only when this is imported, then I can go back to my camera, and I can, first of all, on the AR camera selection, I can go load BIFE database and then activate it. So this is very important to do this, so you won't be able to, it won't work. Second thing I need to do is in my image target, it's I have nothing defined. So image target behavior. So here I want a predefined database, and I'm using the BIFE database, and then I get to select what image I want to use, and then obviously you can see here width 50, height 50. So I could stipulate a new width or a new height if I wanted at this stage. So I'm actually going to make it 5, and yeah, leave it at that. Okay, so so far so good. Next part of this is more to do with making stuff in Blender or Max or Maya and then bring it in. So I have my troll here. I have I'm not going to change any of these settings here. It'll take 2 or 3 minutes to apply them. But basically, if you make an object or a mesh in Blender with an armature, and if you've given it multiple animations, you can define them here. You can hit the plus key. It'll add in a new animation. See here, it's called walk, so I can add in a new name. And then I define the start frame and the end frame. And you can see my walk animation goes from frame 1 to frame 49. My jump animation goes from frame 60 to 99, etc. So you define these, and then you hit the apply key, and you can decide whether they want to be looped or not. So my walk cycle is looped. When you're happy with your animation setup, you drag and drop your target in here. Now my troll is huge, so let's make it a little bit smaller. We'll say 0.2, and then 0.2, and 0.2. A more manageable troll. And I'm going to take my camera here, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my image and move it outside. So I'm going to break the prefab, and that allows me then, just in terms of viewing things correctly, to move my camera out in front here. I'm going to take my troll, and I'm going to rotate my troll 180 degrees. So it all looks right here. Okay. Now, this next bit's very important. This troll must be the child of the target image. No, if it's not the child, this will not work. Now, a few more steps to go through to get this to actually work on a mobile device. First of all, I'm already on Android, so you need to, probably before you bring in this troll, you probably need to go to your build settings, select, you'd be by default on PC, so select Android and then hit switch platform. If you've already brought the troll in, it won't make any difference. It'll just take a couple, instead of it taking 30 seconds, it'll take 90 seconds to re-import the assets. So you need to be in an Android build. That's the first thing. And then after that, once you've done that, then you've just got basic sort of Android stuff to do. So if I go down here and I go to player settings with my Android build selected, give your company name, your product name, and then we haven't really done this in class because we haven't done any Android development, but there's a couple of really kind of odd and interesting things that we'll get to. This is a very important panel here, identification. And the bundle identifier, by default, I think it says com.company.unity or something, it says by default, and you can't leave it at that. This is basically your unique identifier. So if there is, it's like a URL basically for your game. And also you can select what version of Android is the least or the oldest version that your game can potentially work with. And the earliest we can pick at this stage is Gingerbread. But you could force it to only work on a more modern API. So I'm just going to leave it on Gingerbread. I don't need to do anything. And we need to not turn on things like VR and other such fancy things. So because they're already set for us, so we don't need to change these. Don't turn on GPU scaling. So virtual reality support is turned on, but it's set to Oculus and stuff. So don't change any of these. It's all kind of the only thing you need to change is the bundle identifier. Now, yeah, you can set your icons up here if you want. So basically, that's the important one. If you don't change that, it won't export. It'll return you an error on export. Okay, so we could now hit build and build ourselves an APK file and copy it over to our mobile device, and happy days, it would work. Alternatively, we can make add a bit more control to it, which is what I'd shown you in class. And I want to show you that now because it's kind of interesting, even unrelated to augmented reality. So I'm going to add in a UI element. I'm going to add in a button, a UI button. And as you know, the UI canvas in Unity is huge. So, there we are. There's our button. Our guys are down here in this tiny corner. Now, by default, the canvas uses this screen space, and we normally just leave it like that. But I'm going to change this to world space. So now that this is part of the 3D world, and I'm going to change the scale of this considerably. So I'm going to make this 0.02. I'm going to do the same on the y, 0.02. And I'll just leave Z for a second. I'm going to position it at 0 and 0. And then I'm going to press F. Oh, no, I don't want the F up here. So F to focus on it. And we can see that we've got, this is now kind of around our character. So now I want to rotate this, and I want to rotate it on my x-axis. So it's like that, and I want to actually type in 90 here. And now I'm going to make this 0.1, and make this 0.1 as well. And maybe even make this a tiny bit smaller, so make this 0.0 under 0.5. And now you can see my button creeping in here at the side. Now, let's go in here in the button and select it. And we can just move the button so it's in a bit closer. Take the whole canvas. Now this is in the world space, so I'm just going to lift the canvas up so that it's above my, my image. Now, as I see it there, my troll has this kind of bits there. My control has this plane here is I don't know if you can see it. He's he's standing on it. So I'm going to delete that. So you can delete parts of the mesh out of that come in from Blender. So I don't want him standing on anything. I want him hovering in space because he's going to stand on this sheet of paper or this whatever this is. Okay. So there's my button. Now it's a white background, so I'm just going to change some basic sort of AI or UI stuff. So I'll make the button a bit grayer so it stands out a bit more. I'm going to make go to the text and we'll say attack, and we will. Oh, I've got cap lock on. Woohoo! Attack. And we'll make our font a little bit bigger. There we go. We'll call this button attack. And then we'll duplicate it. And we'll move it across to the middle. And I'm sure I could make it perfect, but I don't care for this. And we'll just say jump. Okay. And we'll change the text to say jump. Happy days. Now, how do I get this to work in AR? Well, okay, so I need to, what we're used to doing is going on click. Now, we're not going to click on this, we're going to press it. So we need sort of a more complex control. So on-click won't work, basically. Now, we could use touch input on a mobile device, but I really don't want to do that with you guys just yet. So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to leave this empty, and I'm going to add an event trigger. And then I'm going to go new event trigger, and I'm going to go pointer down, pointer down. Okay. So this is a bit like onClick, but we have far more control. So pointer exit, I can have it while I hold the button, etc. So there's a whole bunch I can drag and drop. I can do all sorts of really cool stuff here. Begin drag, end drag. So we will use these later, in more complex sort of games if you want to do an itinerary and be able to, drag a backpack or a sword out of a backpack and stuff. We'd start using these. So in my, on pointer down event, I'm going to add an event. And at the moment I've got nothing. So I have a script here called player movement, and that was the script I was using in class that you guys remember. It's got, if I press the D code, moves things. So I've made this other script here. That's the one there. So play control. So we'll open this in mono develop, but you can kind of see it all there. It's quite straightforward. But it's quite powerful as well at the same time. So some of the so this script here, the player movement script, I just copied and pasted some of the basic kind of variable. There's one variable at the top out of that. So any moment now. So there we go. So we've got our variable animator, because we're not actually going to get the troll to move. So this troll, he's just going to walk on the spot and jump up and down, and we'll look at maybe another day at how to make it a little bit more complex. I hope to have trolls fighting each other on separate bits of paper and stuff, so maybe we'll do that next week. So we load in our animator, so we can access this guy's mechanism system, which I've already set up over here. Walk, jump. Jump is not spelled correctly. Attack and defend. We haven't put the defend one in here, but that's okay. So in our code, all we've got is function start, load that animator, so we can access it, and then I've got function jump. Set the animator to 1. Function attack, set it to 2, 3, etc. Function nothing, set it to 0. Okay, so let's go back in here, and we can take that script and place it on anything. So I'm going to place it on the troll, but I could actually place it. I should have a game controller and place it on that for good measure. So it's looking for the animator. So let's give it that, and then the actual troll itself has no controller, so we want the troll controller. So the troll is set up correctly to receive the instructions. So let's go into these buttons. So it's the jump one. No, it's the attack one. Here we go. So how do I get this button to make him jump? So I literally take the troll object and drop it in here, because the script is on that. The script I want to access with the controls is on that object. So I drop the object in there, and then I go function. This is the name of the script, and then all of the functions within that script are listed here. And so this is the attack, so I'm going to go attack. So on trigger event, so when I press this button, he should play that animation. Now I'm going to do that again here, and I'm going to go, hang on, that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to add a new event, and it's going to be, so this is pointer down, so I'm going to go on pointer up. So basically, when I let go, I want him to go back to walking. So I'm going to go nothing. So only when I press and hold a button will it play the animation. And then I can go to jump here, I can add a component, an event, add event trigger, new event type, on pointer down, and I'm going to drag my troll in, and I want play control, and this is jump. So basically, I press and hold this, and he'll jump, and when I let go, he'll start walking. I press and hold this, and he'll attack. When I let go, he'll start walking. Now, let's press play, and we should get nothing should go black, I think. If it doesn't, oh, but there he is. Let's see if I can. So I can't test it here, so I need to test it on my mobile device. Now, there is a way if you have Unity Remote. There's an app called Unity Remote from the Google Play Store you can download onto your phone if you have an Android phone, and then you can go Edit, Project Settings, it's Editor, is it? Yeah, it is Editor, and you can say Device, any Android device. By default it says none. So if you connect your phone over USB to your computer, and there's a couple of ifs in this, you have to have set your phone into developer mode, and that can be really awkward on some phones. On my phone, I have a Samsung Galaxy S6. You have to go into the settings, go down to I think it's the About button in the settings, and you have to tap it 7 times, which is not very intuitive. And then it asks you, do you want to be a developer, and you click yes. Then in the additional settings you then expose, you have to enable developer mode. So that's the first thing you have to do on your phone. Then you have to install the Unity Remote version 5 from the Play Store. And then in here, in your Edit, Project Settings, Editor, you have to change this device, Unity Remote device, to any Android device. And then, if the phone is connected and the app is running, when you press play, it will play in real time on your phone. And then you can tap this on your phone, and you should be able to preview him jumping, etc. Hopefully, if I just press 1 here, nothing. Oh, there he goes. He jumps. Not terribly exciting, nor does it say that this will work. So, now the one thing I haven't done here is I'm going to go File, Save Scene As, and we'll call this Tutorial Scene. Save. So I have my tutorial scene here. Let's just close all this up. What's important, if you want to export this now and run it as an app on your phone, you need to go File, Build Settings, Build. But before we do that, we have to have a look at what's in here. So I have not set up a menu to go from, this scene to this scene. These are kind of identical scenes, so I don't want both of them in my build. And anyway, if you remember from what we've looked at in class for your web game, whatever's at the top is what we'll see first. So if I should have that at the top and turn that off. I don't want that included in my build. If I leave that on, it will build this. I will only ever be able to do the scene I've built here, but it will include all of the data from this scene in the build. So the API file will be maybe twice as big as it should be, without ever accessing any of that functionality. So turn that off, have your scene selected, so drag and drop it in, and then click build. It'll ask you where should I build it, so we'll call this BIFE AR Tutorial. And we'll hit save, and then it will go through the build process. So you have to remember that before you build this, there's a few additional items that you have to check. So make sure that you've got your player settings correct. We'll just let this export now. It shouldn't take too long, it should take about 60 seconds. But just before you hit that build button and you give it a name and go OK, just ensure that you've set up your bundle identifier. So just to remind you of that, again, if you haven't used Android before, there's quite a few small things that you have to do, or it will not work. So there's my tutorial there. So just player settings. So just remember to do this to set up your bundle identifier. I've set up my company name, my product name, and then this it's by default com.company.unity, I think, and you need to put in something different, anything different, or this won't build. It'll return halfway through that process of exporting the API, APK file. It will return an error. And then if I jump out here and I go to my desktop and AOR, and I go to my APKs, that's it there. And just for interest, it's 24 meg. And that's us.